Building trust in a team is like gardening. By nurturing the seeds of trust, product managers help teamwork blossom, creating a strong, successful team ready for any challenge. But what happens when that trust is broken? How do you rebuild it? This episode, which is brought to you in partnership with our friends at Amplitude, Stephanie Leue, a group product manager at Ringier AG, is going to be bringing a fresh perspective to building successful teams, especially after setbacks, by sharing invaluable insights from her 23 years of experience. And coming up in today's episode, building and maintaining trust within teams, financial literacy for product managers, introversion in leadership, and the importance of patience and calmness. So Stephanie, I'm really excited to discuss your insights on product leadership. But first, I'd love to hear a little bit more about building trust because, there's always that saying that once you've broken trust, you don't get it back. So how would you measure the success of building that trust back?
I mean, we were still in a quite lucky situation. Doodle is a well-known global brand. Users love Doodle. They use Doodle for quite a while. And when we released this new platform, yes, we lost trust of a couple of customers, obviously. But nevertheless, we had also very good tools at hand in order to rebuild that trust. So we introduced two metrics. We introduced the NPS metric, which is, from my perspective, a vanity metrics and nothing that I would measure as a product person myself. But NPS is a very nice vanity metrics for all of your stakeholders. So we introduced it and we saw a dramatic uplift in NPS score over the past 18 months. So from an NPS perspective, I think there has been true proof in the numbers. But the metrics that I'm more interested in is the CES scoring. So we also introduced CES scoring, and Doodle has a variety of product offerings. So we introduced CES scoring per product offering. We measure it in different levels and for different features, and we can really very clearly see where we are improving and where we are rather losing trust. And based on all of these insights from CES scoring, we were able to also prioritize exactly the right things in order to increase our overall CES scoring. CES score is the customer effort score. So it tells you how much effort is your customer putting into using your product and how likely is it that they are really achieving their goals with the actions they take, right? And it's a super simple metrics. We're using a scale from 1 to 5. 5 is I successfully achieved my goal. 1 is you failed. I didn't really get to what I wanted to do actually. And based on that, we are measuring CES score for a couple of different things. And that helps us to also identify the challenges our customers are facing.
Thanks. That makes a real lot of sense, especially from a customer viewpoint. Would you be open to sharing your thoughts on building trust again within teams?
Absolutely. I mean, when I joined, I faced two challenges. Number one, I was the new kid on the block, right? Why would you trust someone who just joined? And the second one was that obviously we messed up the release and we got a lot of backfire. So the team's trust was kind of challenged in two different directions. Me as the new leader plus the challenges with the release. So I had to build trust in very challenging times. I had to make super unpopular decisions. I stopped a couple of projects. Right? We worked on so many things that felt so important to teams. But in order to bring back trust into the organization from a customer perspective, I needed to refocus all teams on the most important problems to solve. That meant that I had to disappoint teams because I stopped initiatives that they were in love with and that were really important for them. That's not super helpful when you want to build trust, right? Because you take away things from people that are important. Right? That hurts. And on the other hand, as a newbie, making unpopular decisions doesn't make things easier at all, right? So that was my situation. My key learning in retrospective is that you're not building trust overnight. It's a process and it takes time. And I can make unpopular decisions and still stay connected to people. I can stop certain initiatives, but I can still listen to people and trying to understand why it hurts them, why it has been so important to them, what they would need from me in order to understand my decisions, right? Like I didn't just make decisions. They were backed up by data, insights, strategy, direction, right? There were always reasons on why I made decisions. So I think building trust with the teams took more time than I expected. And it took a lot of investment into transparent communication, listening to people, also embracing that they were facing challenges and that they potentially didn't trust me from the very early beginning. That's in the nature of things, right? And I think taking the time and embracing all of that and still believing that there will be a point in time when my decisions pay off and when teams will recognize that the unpopular decisions I made in the past are definitely helping the organization to succeed in the future is something that helped me to build that trust within the organization.
Our audience would be really interested to know, Stephanie, what is the outcome of your team now and the working environment?
I feel like we're a pretty cool bunch of people. So we're developing towards autonomous teams. I feel like we established a culture of learning and embracing failure. And I also feel like we have mutual trust developed over the past couple of months. I see this, it's measurable. So my manager NPS is quite high, which I am super proud of because it tells me, yeah, that's good, right? Yes, we're measuring NPS, eNPS and MNPS and customer NPS as well. So NPS all over the place. But I'm not sure if there's a CES scoring for managers as well, but I think the manager NPS is really a good thing because it also helped me to become a better leader, actually. So manager NPS, from my perspective, is quite good. And I also feel like my teams are open to change. They are open to my ideas, and they are also open to challenge me, to get challenged, but to also challenge each other. So I feel like when collaborating with each other, it's really based on mutual trust.
I agree. Let's talk about product management from that perspective, because some people say product managers avoid talking to customers or researching the market. What do you think about that?
To be honest, I always hear this feedback that teams don't want to do discovery and they don't want to talk to customers and they don't want to collect insights. I doubt that's reality. And I feel like we're assuming that people have bad intentions or PMs are not interested at all in using the product. I haven't experienced a single product manager that was not interested in looking into data, observing competitors, or talking to customers at all. I don't know a single product manager who is not willing to do so, but I know a bunch of product managers that struggles to either find the time or find the support or find the right tools or find the methodologies or is bold enough to talk to customers, right? I'm sure there are plenty of reasons on why PMs don't seem to do proper research or don't seem to talk to customers or don't seem to use their product. But if you dig a little bit deeper and you assume good intentions, you will fairly easy figure out that there's something holding them back. And that thing is usually so tiny. If you just unblock them, every PM is eager to do whatever it takes to build better products.
I've noticed that some product leaders lack the financial knowledge and understanding that they need to be successful. I'd love to get your thoughts on this.
I absolutely agree with you. We had exactly the same process at PayPal. We had to create business cases for every single feature. And that made perfect sense because if you create a product at scale for such a large audience, you need a business case because every single little adjustment or change in the product can have a massive impact in both directions. So for large organizations, I think it's super important to train PMs also on business and financial numbers. But in smaller startups and smaller organizations, everything is more or less guessing games, right? Like you don't have much historical data. You don't have a large customer base. If you change something a little bit into one direction, it might have an impact or not, right? But usually those things don't have a massive impact. on your numbers. And I feel like that leads to a situation where in large organizations, you get trained on business acumen and financial data, while in startups, it doesn't really matter. You can create a business case and then 10 months later, you look at that business case and you're like, nah, that is bullshit, right? Like you never achieved the numbers anyways. And I think that's the difference. It is super important in my position now as CPO, having financial background and better understanding on how to also steer the business is an absolute must. But to be honest, I learned it the hard way since I joined the position as a CPO at Doodle.
Following on from that discussion, what do you think would be best practices for financial literacy for product managers?
Like for me, one of the breakthroughs was that at Doodle, we have a fantastic CFO, and he's the first CFO in my entire career ever who makes numbers fun. Literally. Whatever he shows in terms of numbers has a story attached to it. He makes it super easy to understand what he's talking about. And he made financial data accessible for me. So if you ask me, what would I recommend? Product managers, try to find that one person in your organization that is able to make data fun. There will be a person in your organization, I'm sure. Find it and make sure this person is becoming your best friend. Because if you want to climb the career ladder, you will need financial background. So you got to learn it. Start learning it early in your career because this will help you succeeding.
Now, Stephanie, as we look at wrapping up today, for people, let's say in more junior roles in product leadership and looking to move their career forward, what advice would you give them?
Manage app. Learn to manage app. The easier you make the life of your boss, the more likely it is that you will get promoted. Because if you prove that you're a true problem solver, you will definitely get an opportunity to also take over more responsibilities.
I love that. And what other advice would you give as far as, say, managing up to, say, someone who might be a little bit shy or introverted as far as talking to their managers?
Yeah, you might be surprised, but I'm an introvert, actually. And during my times at PayPal, I struggled a lot to even have lunch with people. It scared me to sit in front of another person and talking to that person about a random topic. It made me super nervous and I wasn't able to sleep the night before. So I'm a super introvert, actually. You won't feel it any longer, but because I can hide it, but it's still there. So what would I recommend? You can still manage up, right? Like you can still create amazing presentations or provide insights via email or Slack or communicate. Like you don't need to be super extrovert and on stage and always being the most present person in a room. That's not managing up. Managing up is having solid conversations with your manager, trying to exactly understand what is their biggest challenge right now and coming up with opportunities for yourself on how to help your boss overcoming these challenges. And that has nothing to do with being an introvert or extrovert. It has to do with having a sense for what is your company and your manager facing right now and how can you contribute to everyone's success.
Now, final question. Is there any advice that you would give people in product management looking to be promoted?
I think one of the things that unblocked me in many different ways is patience. Stay calm, no matter how stressful it is and no matter how chaotic it is all around you. Stay calm and patient. Things will be super, super stressful in the very early beginning, but usually they become easier over time. And the more patient you are, the better you can steer situations and the more energy you will also get out of these situations. So patience and staying calm is definitely a superpower I developed, and it helped me a lot.
The gardening approach to teamwork ensures that your team remains strong, adaptable, and cohesive, ready to face the future together and succeed together. Follow Stephanie on LinkedIn to stay updated with her leadership insights. And if you're interested in learning how to build really successful product teams, then watch this interview with Tiago. It's really, really great. Now, this episode was brought to you in partnership with our friends at Amplitude. So from me, Ross Webb, bye for now.